continuing to cause problems across the continent. Figures show that more wildfires have been recorded in England and Wales so far this year than last year as a whole. But thousands of residents and tourists have been evacuated from parts of France, for example, in the western Gironde region where wildfires are burning. Firefighters trying to control blazes which have been destroying nearly 42,000 acres of land since last week. We can speak to Paul Headley, the lead on wildfires for the National Fire Chiefs Council here. Paul, hello, morning.
Good morning.
You will be, I suppose, really concerned about the hot temperatures this week. Where are the most vulnerable places in the country? Where are you keeping an eye on?
We're seeing a lot of wildfire activity right across the UK, actually, but obviously we've got a red alert in place for a significant part of England, from the South Pennines down to the south coast and across to the east of the country. So that's the main focus of our attention. But we do have wildfires currently still open in places such as Surrey, Cornwall, North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire, Hereford and Worcester. So as I say, even the areas which aren't within the current red alert zone, the conditions are still very supportive for wildfires if there is ignition source available.
And you talk about that ignition source. What is the most common cause of these kinds of fires?
In the UK, naturally occurring wildfires due to lightning strikes are incredibly rare. So it's human factors, whether accidental or deliberate. So there are steps which we can take as a society to try and mitigate the risk of wildfire. So particularly at times such as this, when the risk is so high, the vegetation is so dry and the ground is so dry, you know, we really would make a plea to the public to be much more wildfire aware. So no disposable or portable barbecues, no campfires, no naked flames in the countryside, disposing of cigarettes properly, and taking rubbish and particularly glass bottles home with you. So there's a lot we can do to help ourselves.
What about those little disposable barbecues? How are you feeling about those?
If they're used properly, they're perfectly safe, but under no circumstances should they be taken into the countryside and just put onto the ground or under vegetation. So they are a cause of a lot of wildfires. I think it's generally through people just not appreciating the dangers involved with them. Thankfully, more and more producers are putting some really effective warning on the covers of them, so that hopefully will raise awareness. But the safest thing, you know, I take a picnic when I go and enjoy the countryside, and that's by far the safest thing to do, certainly under the current conditions.
Yeah, we're all about the fridge tapas on this programme this morning.
Absolutely.
So you're very much with us on that one. When you see what's happening in other parts of Europe, does it send a bit of a shiver down your spine?
It does, and you know, you did mention you mentioned France, that there's terrible wildfires unfolding across continental Europe, and our thoughts are with colleagues and responders dealing with those catastrophic wildfires. It does worry me. We are in a slightly different position in the UK, where we've got a window of opportunity to get ahead of this, and what we need to do is adapt our practices and behaviours to learn to live with wildfires, and hopefully put mitigations in so that we don't see the very worst wildfires which are unfolding tragically across our TV screens in Europe. Because once wildfires get to that stage and they are driven by high temperatures, low humidity and strong winds, there's really very little you can do to suppress them. So what we need to do is manage fuel loading and fuel better in this country, break the continuity of the fuel up, and just put adaptations into how we manage and look after the landscape to try and give ourselves a chance of making sure that any fires which do occur don't become uncontrollable wildfires.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul Headley, lead on wildfires for the National Fire Chiefs Council here in England. Let's go to Jess Parker then and find out how things are looking in France, just as our Europe